What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all having an amazing new year so far. I'm so excited to be sitting down and filming with you guys. I have a lot of different plans for the year of 2020. I'm really excited about it. I already got some new lighting that hopefully you guys enjoy. It's not nearly as extreme, and I'm also trying to work out my audio issues. You guys, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I just have bad luck with microphones. I've done everything, tried every suggestion, and this buddy just does not want to do what I need it to do. But all that being said, I have a lot of really exciting things coming for this channel, and I'm trying to do things a little bit differently this year, lay things out a little differently. You'll notice little changes here and there to hopefully make things a lot easier for you guys to contribute to these different cases as much as possible, make it easier for you to do your own research. There's just a lot of things that are going to be changing, so keep an eye out for that. But before we really fully dive into this video, I want to say a massive thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. When they reached out to me, you guys, I was so dang excited because if anyone knows anything about me, I like to learn how to do absolutely everything. I don't like to outsource anything with my channel. I like to do everything from start to finish. So Skillshare is the absolute perfect place for me, and I think a lot of you guys will really enjoy it as well. If you're not aware of what Skillshare is, it's an online learning community for creators that offers thousands and thousands of different classes in so many different categories from graphic design to music, marketing, lifestyle, and then what I use most, which is film and video. As I said, I don't outsource anything at the moment, and I'm definitely not a professional when it comes to editing, shooting, obviously using microphones, obviously using lighting. So everything is self-taught, and I really rely a lot on Skillshare when it comes to learning a lot of these different things. I've most recently taken a class with Nikki Stevens on creative video storytelling and editing using stock footage, which is actually something that's another change in my channel that I'm trying to incorporate more. I know I personally am a very visual person, and I've seen comment after comment after comment from you guys saying you are visual people as well, and the goal of my content in its entirety is to connect you guys to the victim, to the story, emotionally to the situations. And I personally believe that being such visual people, obviously we're all here on YouTube watching, I feel like learning how to use stock footage in the most appropriate manner to evoke the feeling of understanding and humanizing these different individuals and stories is just something that I want to be better at, and I think would be beneficial for all of you guys as viewers. So the creative video storytelling and using stock footage class was very, very beneficial for me, you guys, and this channel. By becoming a premium member of Skillshare, you guys will have unlimited access to thousands of different classes in any subject you could possibly imagine. Over 7 million creators are learning on Skillshare right now, and it's really cool because it's kind of like this little community. You meet a lot of people that have the same interests as you. They might know a little bit more, or they might know a little bit less, and in the classes together, you guys can communicate back and forth, get feedback on your little projects. It's just a really positive and uplifting environment. Skillshare is giving away a free 2-month unlimited access trial to my subscribers who click the link down in the description box, and after that it's only around $10 a month. So many of you guys email me. I probably get at least 2 to 3 emails a day about you guys wanting to start your own YouTube channels, whether that's in true crime in specific or branched out on all the different genres of YouTube. And the first question I always get is, how the heck do I even start? Skillshare has everything for those of you that want to start your own YouTube channel. You can learn how to use different cameras, you can learn the best angles, you can learn the best lighting. So if you are interested in learning more about the things that you are passionate about, go to the link in my description for a 2-month free trial. And thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. So now let's just go ahead and jump right into today's video. So today I will be speaking about the disappearance of Allan Bryant Jr., and this case does not have a lot of information, but we all know what that usually ends up meaning. There is a ton of speculation. There are a ton of different theories. There's a lot of stuff going on online about this. His family has a lot of different theories. So the good last half of this video, that's mainly kind of what this is going to be about, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what's proven, what's not, and then you can form your own opinions down in the comment below. But first, let's go ahead and start off with what happened. Allan Bryant Jr. was 23 years old when he vanished on a walk home from the club in the early morning hours of November 3rd, 2013 in Glenrothes, Fife, Scotland. Allan was known to be a great person. He was very, very easy to get along with. I don't think in all of my research I saw that anyone really had any issues with him. He was incredibly intelligent. He loved school. He did very well in school, and at the same time, he still managed to keep up a very successful social life. He had a very strong, close-knit group of friends. And that was one thing that was kind of really hammered into all the research that I saw, is that he was usually surrounded by really, really great people. They were trustworthy, they had each other's backs, so he seemed to be leading a pretty awesome life. He was never the kind of person that went out a lot. He wasn't into the whole clubbing scene. That wasn't to say he didn't go out every once in a while. His parents said that he maybe went out like a handful of times a year, and when he did go out, it was never anything insane. He kept it pretty mellow. He really preferred to just hang out at home. He would have his friends come over and they would basically have a few drinks, play Xbox, and have a mellow night. Back to when he would go out, it wasn't a regular occurrence, and when he would go out, he would always be back in the early morning hours. He never ever stayed out past that, and he was always very responsible and would communicate with his parents, and it was never usually an issue. But something did happen November 2nd into November 3rd of 2013 that prevented Allan from coming home. Allan lived with both of his parents and his two sisters, and the entire day of the 2nd, which I believe was a Saturday, he was in a great mood. There was no issue at all. He was very upbeat, and he was really excited because he had an engagement party to go to that night. It was a close friend's engagement party. So he got ready, and then at around 8 to 8:30, he left his home on Ednam Drive with a group of his friends to walk to Leslie Golf Club where the engagement party was being held. Allan and his friends arrived to Leslie Golf Club for the engagement party at around 9 p.m. that night, and on all accounts, everyone said the party was great. Allan had a great time. There were no issues. Average party. By 12 a.m., the club itself was closing down, and some of the partygoers didn't want to stop partying, so they decided to head to Styx nightclub. They all packed into a minibus to go together, and they ended up showing up there probably a little after 12. Styx nightclub was only, I want to say, about less than a mile from his house. I think it's actually like 0.6 miles to be exact. So everything was kind of in very close vicinity. Allan and his friends partied at the club for a little bit, and then finally at around 2:02 a.m., Allan decided to head out. He walked out of Styx alone and on foot and was never seen again. His parents were used to, again, being woken up early morning hours to him coming home, the times that he did end up going out, but he didn't show up in the early morning hours of the 3rd, and then as the day went on, no one had heard from Allan. Now, one huge problem was that Allan's cell phone had broken, I think, 2 weeks prior, so they had no great way of getting in contact with him. Usually, though, this wouldn't be an issue, because if his phone died or if something happened to it, Allan would always take a best friend's phone. He would either call, text, Facebook message. He always at least would let his parents know that he was okay, but he hadn't done that. They decided to go ahead and call around to different friends and family members just to make sure he wasn't, somewhere safe and fine, and they just hadn't gotten in contact with him, but no one had seen him at all. By Monday, Allan still wasn't home, so he was reported as missing, and pretty much everything from here on turns into an absolute disaster. Allan didn't have anything at all of importance on him that night. You already know that he didn't have a cell phone. According to his family, he didn't have any cards on him or any cash, which I kind of find odd only because he was out at a club that night for a few hours. I don't know if maybe friends were paying for his drinks or if he only brought just enough to kind of get himself a few, but they claim he had no money or anything of importance on him. He didn't have a passport on him, and he didn't even have a jacket. He was just kind of wearing a long sleeve shirt because he left his jacket at the golf club, and it was November and it was pretty cold. So you would think after leaving the club, he would have headed straight home, and this should have been about a 13-minute walk. But somehow he just vanished somewhere in that time frame. Authorities didn't exactly hit the ground running, so to speak. The area that Allan was last known to be in is very, very popular. Fife itself is popular, but Glen Rothes in particular, especially this area, very heavily populated. People like to go out to drink and have fun out there. So he would have passed by lots of people at this point leaving the club. He also would have passed by business after business. There's so many gas stations, there's schools with security cameras, there are other bars and establishments with security cameras. There was CCTV everywhere. But for some reason, authorities didn't think to gather this CCTV until days later, and we know what that means. They were too late. By the time they got around to collecting the CCTV footage to kind of piece together the direction he went, what happened, if they could find anything, all the CCTV footage, other than footage from Styx itself, had been written over or just completely deleted. Because of this, they lost potentially very, very crucial evidence. But that's not the only mistake that they made. They did have footage from Styx that showed him leaving, which you would assume authorities would like to release, especially if there's nothing huge necessarily within it to point you any direction as to what happened, to hopefully jog someone's memory, or maybe someone will recognize someone and they kind of connect dots with something else that happened that night. But they didn't release it to the public. They kept this 30-second clip to themselves, but I'm going to get way more into that in a little bit. The following weekend, authorities again dropped the ball. One of the big things that they promised Allan's family was that they were going to put an incident vehicle outside of Styx Club the following weekend, because people tend to frequent the same places, and they were thinking if they put an incident van there, if they really increase police presence as well, someone might come forward with some sort of information. But apparently the incident vehicle broke down before it was able to reach Styx, and authorities didn't alert Allan's family about this. They didn't think to send another incident vehicle out there. They also did not send more authorities to kind of patrol the scene. And unfortunately, Allan's father himself went up to check out the situation, wanted to see what was happening with the incident vehicle that his family was promised would be there, and he showed up to absolutely nothing. There was no increased police presence, no van, no vehicle, no incident vehicle, and he was distraught. He ended up calling authorities to ask what was going on, and they just sent 2 officers out there who just kind of stood there and I believe asked questions, but that's pretty much it. At this point, the Bryant family realized that if they wanted any work to be done to find their son, they were going to have to do it themselves. On November 11th, Allan's family organized a group of friends and relatives to come together to distribute missing persons posters all across Fife and surrounding areas, and in total they distributed over 50,000 missing persons posters, which is absolutely insane. Then the following day, authorities finally decided it was time to set up a search. I have not seen that there was any search whatsoever until this moment, which was over a week after he was last seen. I could be wrong. There could have been something. I just haven't seen it documented anywhere so far. Officers were brought in from all over Fife, and they searched the local fields, woods, bushes, alleys, but unfortunately nothing at all was found. A few days later, they decided to search local bodies of water, and this was actually an absolute nightmare because no one from the police department said anything to Allan's family about searching the water. They heard it through somebody else, and they panicked. They were thinking the absolute worst because they believed the only reason authorities would be searching water would be if they received some sort of tip, and they had no idea what to prepare for. But the searches were fruitless, and unfortunately, I don't believe authorities were even able to say any reason that they searched or explain why they didn't at least alert the family first so they wouldn't feel this wave of distress figuring it out otherwise. Friends and families continue to search, and the public outpouring of support is probably the most insane thing about this case. Seeing how many people came together for the Bryant family and to find Allan was astounding. You guys, Allan's face was broadcasted all over huge football games. They actually had a charity football game to raise money for searches for him. And then over 200 people participated in a march across Glenrothes to remind people that Allan was still missing. And then 7 months after Allan disappeared, police finally decided to release the CCTV footage from Styx. And there are so many different reasons why this is frustrating. The footage was very clearly cut down, edited together, and then another very frustrating thing is that there were tons and tons of people in this footage, you guys. There were so many people outside of the club, so many people on the inside, so many people just all over the street, including a handful of Allan's friends. There's no telling what any one of these individuals may have seen, and if authorities had released the footage way ahead of time, it might have jogged someone's memory. They might have remembered seeing something or hearing something, and that would have been something to work with. But because there were 7 months between the night that this all happened and when the footage was released, the chances that any of those people remembered anything was slim to none. When it comes to the footage itself, it shows that Allan is by himself. He is very obviously drunk. He's not steady on his feet. You can tell he is struggling a lot. He goes to leave Sticks, and before he walks out, he speaks to a doorman just for a second, and then he walks fully out, and you see him almost fall backwards. Now, there's been a lot of speculation surrounding this in particular, so I'm probably going to play this a couple of times so you guys can get a good look at it. There's a whole lot of people that believe that someone actually pushed Allan and shoved him backwards. I personally don't see that. The footage is CCTV footage. However, it's really difficult to make things out. I just don't personally see anyone push him. I will let you guys come to your own conclusion and let me know what you think down below. After this, Allan then heads off in the direction of Tanshaw Roundabout, and then the footage cuts off. Allan's dad said he has viewed the footage in its entirety, past what we are able to see, and he claims that 2 officers actually spoke to Allan after this clip cuts off. That means that police officers were potentially the last ones to speak to Allan before he disappeared. Yet authorities have never said anything about this. I don't know if these 2 officers have even come forward and stated anything, but you can understand why that's wildly frustrating to Allan's family. Another thing that I find very odd, and I actually hadn't thought about this until I watched Joshua Miles' video on this particular case, but Allan left alone. And if you think about the entire sequence of events during the night, his friends came to his house to walk with him 30 minutes away to the golf club. So he's completely with friends on that walk. He goes with friends from the golf club to Sticks, and then all of a sudden when he goes to leave and he vanishes, all of his friends are nowhere to be seen with him. Not a single person, walked with him or appeared to even walk him out. I know it's said that his friends are in fact in the video, so I even find it weird that maybe no one said bye. It makes me wonder if maybe something happened, maybe there was a fight, or if it could lead to possibly another theory, which is something that I will speak about at the end of the video. Now, while this did give authorities and Allan's family a little tiny bit more insight, it didn't make a huge impact on the investigation like it could have been had the footage been released way earlier. Or if authorities had taken this to go off in another direction, contact all of those different businesses in the area he would have been walking. It is so possible with the amount of CCTV footage in that area that they could have had his entire walk captured down to what happened to him. But all of that time was just wasted. The Bryant family continued on with their own searches. They hired aircraft to search all of the different areas they believed that Allan could possibly have ended up. They followed up every single rumor that they heard to see if there was any sort of truth behind it, and that's one thing that I'm finding very interesting that I want to know to you guys. I see the word rumor everywhere when I am looking up this case, which means people are talking, and usually if people are talking, that means they heard something. That doesn't mean all rumors are true, but that means that there is either someone out there that knows things and is giving bits and pieces, or there are people out there that want to distract from what really happened, and that information is spreading. Now, the biggest rumor that they stumbled upon is one of the largest theories in this case that a lot of people speak about, and that is that Allan wasn't heading home, but instead he went to a local house party. Now, I have no clue what information they have that leads them to believe this. I know that Allan Sr., which is Allan's dad, he said that he said something about texts being sent between 2 people that claimed to be at this party and claimed that Allan was at this party. There's also a few other rumors that he spoke about of, different screams and crazy things at this certain location. But he seems to have come forward to police that I know of, claiming to have been at the party, claiming they threw a party. But Allan Sr. thinks there's a reason why this party is kind of so up in the air, because everyone is basically keeping this code of silence. He believes it's very possible that people are aware of what happened and they're all too scared to come forward, which again leads to another theory I will talk about later on in this video. In 2017, I do believe that authorities did kind of finally recognize that there was potential, there was a house party Allan was at, because they went and searched a home in Barton Place. Now, I don't know if it's the exact same house this party is thought to be at, but I do know that it was at least on the same street. And this location would have been about a 25-minute walk from Styx, which again is very possible he had already done a walk like that earlier on in the day. But again, there is something so very weird about this, you guys. Authorities searched this home for 5 weeks, you guys. 5 whole weeks. That entire time, the residents were not allowed within their home, from what I've seen. I have never heard of a search taking that long within a home, especially because by the end of it, they claimed they didn't find a single thing, not even the smallest thing. And while searching one residential home for 5 weeks is strange enough, what happened next, the next search, makes it even weirder. The next search was held in 2018 in the River Leven, which was a local river that kind of ran somewhat close to the areas that Allan was thought to be at that night. But the strangest thing about this is that divers spent 2 hours in the water before deciding they found nothing and calling off the search. So that means they spent 5 weeks in a house, but then called off a search after 2 hours in an entire river? This whole case just seems to have been handled in such a bizarre manner. I know that the Bryant family did file a formal complaint against law enforcement, which did seem to kind of jumpstart what they were doing. I do think this led to a couple of searches, but in my personal opinion, it almost seemed like it was done to save face. And I could be wrong. I'm not there. I haven't seen probably majority of articles that I could see if I were living locally. But I will say that after the complaint, Allan's case did become the largest inquiry into a missing person in Fife. So, I don't know. The Bryant family has just been through absolute hell. It was so heartbreaking to research this case. It was absolutely devastating to see the family. In every article, they described it as their own living hell, in their exact words. They've dealt with so much more than just Allan's disappearance, and authorities really not being willing to work with them as much as they had hoped. They've dealt with a prankster that messaged the family, I think in specific one of his sisters and his dad, saying that he tortured and killed Allan. This man was put in jail for 10 months, I believe, and then was released, and just days after started it all over again, and then was put back in jail for 8 months, but appealed it successfully somehow and only spent 1 month. It's just mind-boggling to me. And imagine opening up your Facebook page to see messages from someone saying that they tortured and killed your brother or son. It's the craziest thing that to me that he got away with that the way that he did. But Allan Sr. is so relentless, you guys, and he has pushed so hard. I saw on all the different forums about Allan Jr.'s disappearance that, people saying if they went missing, they wanted Allan Sr. on their side, because he does not give up. He does not stop. There's a Facebook page dedicated to finding Allan, and Allan Sr. constantly posts on there. He posts giant messages, words of encouragement, the things that he's going through, the things that are happening with the investigation that he knows about. He posts videos. His dad has even covered his entire vehicle in Allan's missing person poster. So people quite literally do not have the option to forget that Allan is still missing. Now, this brings us to the theories, and the first and probably biggest one that I see pretty much everybody talking about online, and that Allan Sr. really pushes a lot, is that Allan may have had friends that were involved in his disappearance. While Allan did have a lot of good friends that were very trustworthy, that he was very, very close to, Allan Sr. believes that there was a group that Allan would hang out around that were possibly connected to local organized crime, which, if you're not aware of this particular area, and every time I look into any case in the UK in particular, there seems to be a ton of organized crime. I don't know firsthand, obviously, I've never even been to the UK, but it seems to be a rampant issue. 4 weeks before Allan went missing, there was an incident. Allan had gone out with a group of friends, and I think they were drinking, having a good night. One thing led to another, and Allan ended up smashing a shop window. Now, I watched an interview with Allan Sr. that I have linked down below. It's the most recent podcast. I think it was just released a week before I'm releasing this. And it was really hard to understand his accent, unfortunately. And I'm actually really good at understanding accents, so I was trying to follow along as best as possible. But it seemed almost as if it was kind of an accidental thing. Like someone was just messing with him, snuck up from him from behind, and then he kind of freaked out, not knowing what was going on. And then the window got smashed. If any of you guys want to go and try to figure that out and then leave it in a comment down below, that would be very, very helpful. I just had a very hard time understanding him. But either way, it seemed like an accident, and Allan ended up being charged with vandalism. He was set to appear in court 2 days after he disappeared. A lot of people speculate that he maybe left in order to get out of a vandalism charge. I personally don't think a vandalism charge is something someone would try to abandon their whole life for, but we're all each our own person, and maybe it was for him. A lot of people believe that the friends that he was with that night were the ones involved in organized crime, and through him getting in trouble, it kind of put them under some sort of spotlight. A lot of people believe it's possible that he maybe offered up information on the people he was with in order to get out of his charge, and then maybe days before the court appearance, someone wanted to take him out to prevent that. A lot of people also believe that this could explain his cell phone mysteriously breaking about 2 weeks before. Not that it's wildly uncommon for cell phones to break, but some people believe that this could have been done by someone else in an attempt to hide some sort of evidence that could have potentially been on his phone. There are so many different ways that all of this could have happened. He could have just been cornered by someone on his way home. There are a lot of people that believe some of those friends were possibly there that night, and maybe lured him to this house party, or that was something entirely separate and then something happened there. We just don't know. Unfortunately, it's a lot of speculation. One thing that Allan Sr. did say, though, that really struck me for some reason, and I think it's because we're in a time and age of social media. He said that all of Allan's friends always post on social media pictures of their nights out. When they get dressed up, they want to show themselves off. They want to show off they had a good time. But he said that for some reason, not a single person posted a picture that night. And that has my mind going. There's also another theory that he just encountered the wrong stranger at the wrong time and became a victim of circumstance. He was alone, in the dark, while intoxicated, on foot. This makes him a pretty easy target for pretty much anyone that has ill intentions. But he also had nothing on him at all. So if robbery was a motive, which would probably be the most likely motive in this situation, you would think this person or this group of people would quickly just be like, forget it, it's not worth it, he has nothing, and go. Unless things maybe escalated too quickly. But even then, someone going into something with intentions of robbing someone, it's not going to be as likely they're going to also kill them and then somehow be prepared to dispose of the body in a way that it hasn't been found for 6 years. When it comes to organized crime and the idea that somehow Allan got roped in with the wrong people or he ended up knowing too much information about something, there's also a lot of speculation that the reasoning behind authorities' actions is because they were also trying to help cover things up. Again, I don't know much about this subject, so for those of you that are from these areas, feel free to go off down in the comments below and let people know what it's really like. But when I was looking into all of the different forums and people discussing this disappearance, so many local people said there's just endless corruption. Police are constantly covering up for organized crime groups. They're working with organized crime groups, but again, kind of a stretch. I have no proof when it comes to this. This just seems to be the biggest topic of discussion when it comes to this case. Either way, I just don't see this being an accident of any sort, really. It was such a populated area. You guys can see from the footage. I just don't think it's possible for him to have walked the wrong way, passed out, even ended up near the River Leven. It was too far away, too far out of his way. He knew where he was. I have absolutely no idea what theory I think is most likely. It Unfortunately, that's just how it goes when you have cases with such little information. But I am heartbroken for his family. I have watched so many of his father's videos talking about him, talking about the situation, trying to get people to make sure they stay aware that Allan is still a missing person and come forward with any information, because police and Allan's family have both stated that the answers lie in the public at this point. They are really relying on that one right person to remember something and bring it forward. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think this is some sort of random act of violence towards him, a situation where it was a crime of opportunity, or do you think someone planned this against him? And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and go. If you guys haven't already subscribed, please do so you can become a part of the Hallan fam so we can bring them home together. And I want to end this video on a quote from Allan Sr. "I see your beautiful face hundreds of times a day. I can't touch you. I can't talk to you. As each year passes, I feel my soul draining away. It's a dark place, Allan. It's a lonely place. I love and I miss you every day, Allan. Each day is just like the day that has passed. The heartache is always there. There is no escape from this until we find out what's happened to you."